everyone. Today I've got a grudge match to present to you that's been long overdue, and that's pitting the two basic starter ships up against one another. The reason for this rematch is that both ships have gone through some major changes since I last compared them, and a lot more gameplay options have come online since then. So I feel that enough alterations have been done to the ship and to the game itself to warrant a rematch at this point. This episode of Versus is going to be more orientated towards those of you that are looking to get into Star Citizen, and right now have more questions than answers as to which one of these two main starter ships to invest in. The Aurora MR and the Mustang Alpha are very often compared to one another. That's because these two are the most commonly referred to ships that come bundled with a Star Citizen game package. And for those of you who don't know, every game package is going to come bundled with at least one ship. So your first real choice when initially getting into this game is going to be choosing which vessel you're going to be playing it with. After all, pairing the right ship to your individual style of gameplay is going to greatly alter your experience. Back when I bought Star Citizen, there were only two ship choices for you to have to agonize over. Since then, they've added a lot more options when it comes to starter ships, like the Reliant Core and the 100i. And of course, there's numerous other game packages you can get, which comes with a wide variety of ships, hangar flare, and UEC. But the Aurora and the Mustang are still going to be the least expensive of your options when purchasing a game package. And being the least expensive of all these options means that it's going to remain one of the most popular choices for new players. Let's start out by taking a look at the Aurora MR. The Aurora MR is developed by Roberts Space Industries. It has a purely utilitarian design, and is one of the most stripped-down, bare-bones versions of the Aurora that you'll find in the series. It comes without the frills of most of the other variants, like the store-all box that the CL comes with, or the size 3 missile rack that the XL has, or the larger weapon hardpoints of the LN. Although it doesn't have the extras that the other Auroras come stock with, you're still going to be able to install a store-all box and an additional pair of size 1 weapons after the fact. Components-wise, the two ships are identical when it comes to the number of and quality of what components they can be outfitted with. The Aurora comes stock with two size 1 yellow jackets and two size 1 missiles. The Aurora also has a flight deck with a very limited amount of internal space that the pilot can get up and walk around in. This area provides access to the two airlocks that are flanking both sides of the ship, and it has a bed located in the back that the player can use to log out of the game from, which is a rather handy option to have for a starter ship. Most of the refactoring for the Aurora has been done to the interior of the ship. It's also had its flight abilities retuned many times over, and now it flies much better than it once did, but still manages to retain its beginner ship status with regards to how it handles. I want to spend a little bit of time looking at the flight deck of the Aurora, since this is where most of the focus of the rework of the ship was placed. The MFDs are now arranged in a row, which is a much more intelligent and useful way for them to be displayed. Another thing that's easy to overlook is that while the Mustang has a less obstructed view, the Aurora has an even wider field of view. Even though it may seem like you're looking at the world through the lens of a futuristic shark cage, that's also been armed with Gatling guns. This provides a better view of the area just below and around the Aurora, which makes landing a lot easier without having to go into the third-person camera mode. This feature also becomes very handy when exploring moons and planets, and while looking for LZs, points of interest, and ground vehicles, or just for general sightseeing. And this makes the Aurora by default more of a planet-side explorer and a good play-at-your-own-pace vehicle to own. Let's move on and take a look at the Mustang Alpha. The Mustang Alpha is Consolidated Outland's introductory ship to the verse. It's inexpensive, fast, and comes with a size 3 turret that's mounted onto the nose of the ship. The turret houses a pair of size 2 bearing M4A laser cannons. So the Alpha comes stock with weapons that are one size larger than the Aurora, and thanks to the turret, the Mustang's weapons are inherently gimbaled while the weapons that the Aurora comes with are fixed. And the Mustang, just like the Aurora, also has the ability to mount an additional pair of size 1 guns onto its wings. The Mustang has had a much more aggressive redesign than the Aurora, and has been completely redone from the ground floor up, both internally and externally. The newly designed ship has the same metrics as the old one did, which means that its size and maneuvering statistics are still the same as before. But the new model is much sleeker looking now. The wings no longer double as landing gear, and their new design allows for them to fold up when landing, which gives the ship a narrower beam and lets it land in tighter spots than the old version would allow for. The Mustang Alpha also comes stock with the ability to carry 4 SCUs worth of cargo. This amount is based on its in-game statistic and not what the ship matrix reports it to be. The old design used to store its cargo in a semi-open scoop that was located in the back. Well, now the new design of the cargo area is still slightly exposed, but it's more recessed into the body of the ship so that only the bottom of the boxes can be seen. When it comes to performance, the Mustang has a 20 to 30 meter per second advantage to the Aurora in every category. This means that it's far more maneuverable and faster in every way. Its aerodynamically structured wings are also going to allow it to handle much better while flying within an atmosphere. These two starter ships represent two very different playstyles. So once again, a lot of what determines which one of these two ships is going to be the better choice for you is going to come down to player preference, what your individual playstyle is, and what you plan on doing more of in this game. The Aurora MR is going to be the ship of choice for people who like to play at their own pace. And the ship itself seems to be more designed for exploration and touring because of the bed feature and the design of the cockpit, which allows you to have a much wider view of the area that exists below the ship's console line. The main feature for this ship is the bed, which as I stated before can be used as a spot to log out of the game from. This option is going to allow the player to be able to stop playing and log out at any time that they want, which means that you're not going to have to waste time going back to an LZ or a space station to land and store your ship at before you can log off. And when you log back on, you and your ship will still be in the same position that you left it in, whether that be in the middle of space or landed on the surface of a moon. This can be a very handy tool to have when it comes to visiting new locations, or just to have the freedom to be able to quit the game at any time that you want. Even though it doesn't come stock with a big box or any other form of carrying device, the Aurora MR is still going to be granted, for the time being, with the ability to haul 3 SCUs worth of cargo. This is so that people who decide to go with the Aurora can still engage in some light cargo hauling. This is a temporary option and will be changed once the ability to purchase ship peripherals like the big box have been added into the game. The Mustang is more of a kinetic ship. It's faster and more maneuverable, and it's inherently designed more for combat. It's definitely not going to be performing at the same level as a light fighter, but it's as close as you're going to get for a starter ship. It also comes stock with the ability to carry 4 SCUs worth of cargo. And for a starter ship, that's not bad, considering that most people who only own a beginner ship are going to be starting the game with 1000 UEC. And if you've used someone's referral code, you'll have an additional 5000 UEC on top of that to work with. That much cash is only going to be able to get you a light weapon, some standard gear, and maybe 1 to 3 SCUs worth of cargo to begin trading with. And remember, you should never use more than a third of your existing total cash to buy cargo. And once you've acquired enough UEC to max out your storage capacity, instead of hauling more, you can always opt to carry more valuable cargo, so that you're earning more money even though you're hauling the same volume of stuff. So from a starting perspective, it's going to take a little while before you max out your Mustang's hauling capacity, and even longer before you need to upgrade to a bigger ship. Another thing to keep in mind is that if you're already planning on upgrading your starter pack to another ship, even though both the Aurora and Mustang starter packages cost the same, the Mustang is worth more money than the Aurora is. Upgrading from one ship to another within Star Citizen is referred to as a CCU, or a cross-chassis upgrade. And the Aurora MR is worth $25 towards another ship, while the Mustang Alpha is worth $30. A bit of advice would be, if you did end up getting one of these two packages and found out that you just inherently feel like you made the wrong decision, you can always melt your game package and apply that credit towards getting another one, and I wouldn't hesitate to do so. I do have further advice in other videos for new players as to what game packages I feel are the best value, and some advice on what some good ship choices are to invest in if you're only planning on owning one vessel. But for now, the Aurora and the Mustang starter packages are the least expensive way to get into the game, and you can always upgrade your ship to another one, or melt your game package entirely and apply the credit towards another one that you feel better suits your needs. You are going to eventually be able to earn every other ship that's available in-game from within the game, and the people who work their way up that ladder are going to have a collectively different experience than the people who end up buying most of their ships are going to have. So in a way, I am kind of envious of people who are going to be starting out with only a Mustang Alpha or an Aurora MR and then earn their way up the ladder from there. I hope that this episode of Versus has in its own small way helped you to make a decision. But remember, regardless of what you do end up picking, you're not going to be stuck with your choice, and you always have the freedom to choose again or to apply the cost of your ship to upgrade to something else. I'm your host, Law of the West. Thanks for watching, and take care.